Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this first summer orientation webinar all about learning at Sewanee, specifically for varsity athletes. My name is Emily Britt, and I serve as the Associate Dean of Students here at Sewanee, which means lots of things, but one of those is I get to work with our orientation team to help make orientation happen. I'm here primarily for tech support today. So just to point out a couple of features before we really get started, this is a Zoom webinar format, which means that you will submit your questions either in the chat or using the Q&A feature that's at the bottom of your screen. We will get to those questions as they come up, but as you think of them, go ahead and submit them so that we can review them. And we will also be recording this webinar so that folks who can't join us today live can watch it after the fact, or you can refer back to it if you have questions later. So if you need anything, again, if you have any questions, please send them in the chat or in the Q&A so that we can answer them. And we're excited to get started. So with that, I'm going to ask Dr. Evan Jocelyn to join us and sort of serve as our moderator for today.
Thank you, Emily. Good afternoon to everyone. I am Professor Evan Jocelyn. I am a chemistry professor. I specifically teach organic chemistry. And I am also the faculty athletic representative on campus. This role provides me the chance to interact with you guys on the role of the academic side and kind of bridge the academics and the athletic side. And so I've really enjoyed this role. I have lots of things that I do in that. I help if you have a difficult situation with a professor. I try to also help improve the relationships between professors and students and just to promote athletics across the board on the academic side. So I'm going to serve as your mediator this webinar. And we're going to first start out with you meeting lots of different people in this webinar, but getting some information about advising, success coaching on the athletic side. And then we'll have a student-led panel that can give you their real-life experience and answer some questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Brooke Harrington to talk about advising and your course schedules.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. As you know, the course selection form just opened. If you do not have access to it, that is one of probably two reasons, maybe three reasons, but one, you needed to complete your language placement exam. You also needed to complete your financial responsibility statement form, I think it's called. And there's actually two places. You're doing that through that admissions portal, but then there's also another link where you go into Banner, which is our registration system, and then you have to click a box there. So there are directions on the admissions page that you're in, but both of those things need to be completed. And then there may be another form, and I can't promise this, but last but not least, if you can't get in, it would be because of what we refer to as CPOS, which is a curriculum program of study, and just an agreement, essentially, that you understand what that is, which is related to financial aid. So the course selection form is open, and it will be available until the beginning of the semester, but we would like it to be completed before the end of the month, because at that point, we will start making schedules for students. It is not on a first come, first served basis, so don't feel like you have to rush through it. We really want you to take some time and look at each of the classes and find out really what your interests are. That's the most important thing. Just make sure that it is done before the end of the month, though. When you're looking at the course selection form, I don't want you to worry about trying to create a schedule for yourself of which classes should I take for the first semester. We're going to take that into account in terms of you being an athlete, practice schedules, travel schedules, things like that. So don't worry about what the right course is. We really want you to be successful your first semester, and that primarily means taking classes that you are most interested in. That's really the most important thing, because we find when students are really passionate about classes or topics, they tend to do better in those classes. So when you're filling that out, just answer honestly rather than what you think you should put down. If you are a pre-health student or pre-engineering, those would be the only two kind of circumstances where a athlete may be put into a lab class in their first semester. And that would only be because either of the sequence of the courses that you'd have to take one in the fall because it's going to be a prereq to something in the spring, or because a course is offered, let's say maybe one of the chemistry courses is only offered in the fall and not in the spring. So only on those rare occasions would we put an athlete in their first semester into a lab. Now, going forward after this semester, yes, it is most likely that if you are in one of the science-based courses, you will take a lab, if not two, during a season. But again, we really want you to be successful your first semester, and we understand kind of managing the time and just getting to know the feel of the rhythm of practice schedules, travel schedules, and then your academics. We know that's tough. And so we take all that into consideration when we are making a schedule for you. We don't want you to just completely be bombarded your first semester. We really want you to be happy and healthy and balanced in your first semester. So we're going to take all of that into consideration. So you don't need to worry about that. I think I'm going to try to share my screen with you if I can. Emily, could you turn the sharing on?
Try now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There we go. Oh, that's not it. There we go. So on the course selection form, it will have a drop down of all the courses that you can take. And certainly you can go by just the name of the course, because sometimes that's interesting enough. But you can also go, if you just Google, this is probably the best way to get there, is just Google first year course listings, Sewanee, and it'll take you to this page. So it gives you a little bit of information about transferring AP courses in or dual enrollment, your foreign language requirement, on and on. But then down below are going to be your course offerings. So these are going to offer a little bit more detail. I'm sorry, I just saw myself on the side here, and it looks like I'm in some sort of screened, I don't know, fog. I apologize for that. I'll figure out that, but I apologize that that's just a whopper of a picture. Anyway, at the bottom of this page, you'll see the different subjects. And if you click on here, then it will have another list of all the course options that you have the option to take for the fall semester. And then when you click on these, it's going to take you to the catalog that is going to have a course description. And so that is sometimes helpful so that you get a little bit more information about what a class is instead of presuming it's going to be one thing or the other. So I would encourage you to access this page if you really want to learn more about a class. I know some students get a little concerned about if a course is at a 200 level. A lot of schools are 100 level you take your freshman year, 200 your sophomore year, third and fourth year, you get it. But at Sewanee, that's not always the case. We have plenty of 200 level courses that is not really indicative that that's their level, right? First year students can take a 200 level course. And unless there's a prereq on it, a prerequisite, like a course that is required before taking that course, then we wouldn't have that on the list of courses that you'd be eligible to take. If we think a course is just not appropriate for a first year, it is not on this list. So just know that if a course is at a 200 level, it's okay to take. It's not going to be necessarily that much more difficult than a 100 level is. Sometimes 100 level courses can be equally as tough, if not tougher, than a 200 or 300 level course. So it's more about the content and what you're learning in that. And that's where kind of we really want you to thrive and take care of yourself in terms of like what classes you really want to take. So just keep that in mind. I think that is all. If you have any questions about the course selection form, you are welcome to email advising@sewanee.edu. I manage that email and will respond to any questions that you have. You can also contact me on the phone. However you want to get in touch with me, you are more than welcome to. Again, I would just ask that you answer those questions just as honestly as you can without thinking about trying to make a schedule. That is our job, and we do that every summer. And so we really know how to create a balanced schedule for you. And that means typically taking classes 5 days a week. I know a lot of students think it's going to be better if we only take 3 days a week and then you'll have the 2 days off, but it's really for time management. It's going to be better that you have ideally 2 classes each day. Sometimes it'll be 3 classes one day and 1 class another day. But what we're doing is really taking into account an athlete's practice schedule as well as trying to find a balance with them academically. So just trust that we're gonna do that for you. Okay, but you're welcome to reach out with any questions that you have regarding the form or your academics.
Brooke, can you talk a little bit about the foreign language and placing things on it? Should they place
Oh,
things
sure.
they're interested in, or just
Sure.
and yeah, can you kind of place that, talk about a little of that?
Sure. On the course selection form, if you're taking the placement exam, it's going to give you three options of what languages you want to take, and it should pull in from the system what your placement was. If it doesn't pull that in, it'll say pending, I believe, and if that's the case, we're just waiting for the department to give us that placement. But let's say you rank them like your top choice was Spanish, your second choice was German, and your third choice was Chinese. Just know if you put all those down, it is possible that you could get your third choice. Spanish is the most popular by a long stride, but we try to distribute students amongst all of the different languages. So now if you placed into, let's say, third semester Spanish, I'm not going to place you in a 100 or first semester German class, for example. But if you are at a 100 level, like first semester for each of those three departments, then you could potentially be placed into any of those languages. So if you definitely don't want to take Chinese, do not put that on the form. So just list the now don't put Spanish, Spanish, Spanish. That just that's not a good option. But you do not have to place a third option on there because we cannot guarantee that you will get Spanish. And there's a lot of students who want the Spanish, as I said. So sometimes we do default to the second semester or second choice. And so and there's a lot of other good choices out there, I promise you. Spanish, to be honest, is not the easiest department on campus, even if you're kind of familiar with that. You might want to just think about other Romance languages. The French and Italian are good secondary options to that. But definitely, if Spanish is your first choice, go ahead and list that. And then whatever your second choice is, go ahead and list that. But if you really do not want to take German or don't definitely want to take Chinese, don't even put it down. Just put, I would say, another Romance language is probably your best option, or whichever one you're most comfortable with. A lot of students do like the Russian. For me, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that has to be extremely hard. But the Russian department really works with the students, knowing this is extremely challenging, and just makes it a lot more enjoyable and a fun class to go to, is what the feedback is from students. So I wouldn't get scared about that either. But if you're dead set on the Spanish, you want to take that as your first choice, go ahead and list that. But for your second choice, I would list a Romance language then, if if that's all you want to take. Does that answer your question? Does that clarify?
Yes.
Let me ask. Okay. Let me just clarify the language more. I feel like I'm a little rambling. I apologize. Let me just go over the requirements for the language. At minimum, students have to have third semester competency in a language. Okay. And then there's a fourth semester requirement. That fourth semester could be the language, so you can continue with fourth semester Spanish, for example, or you could take a culture class within that same region. And that culture class is typically going to be taught in English. So that is an option. So just keep that in mind, four semesters or fourth semester, I guess I should say. So if you come in with a higher placement, let's say you test into third semester Spanish, you would at minimum take third semester Spanish, and then your fourth language course could either be fourth semester Spanish or it could be a culture class taught in English. So just keep that in mind, but we'll put all that into consideration when we're looking at your placement. If you happen to be an international student who has a second language and or maybe English is your secondary language and you did not go to high school,
Should we mute?
what's that? So if you do have a secondary language, you can apply for exemption from that, in which case then you'll be required to take English 101 to satisfy that language requirement. But you will reach out to Dean Alex Bruce, and he would be the one to take that to our standards committee, and they would approve that. So that is an option too if you're an international student.
Okay, thank you, Brooke, for that summary. We'll move
Sure.
on. If you have other questions, please put them in the chat and we'll come back to them after we've heard from all of our other panelists. So we're now going to turn it over to Sarah Barron. She is going to tell you about academic resources such as career readiness and student success coaching.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am so excited that you are here. My name is Sarah Barron and I work in career readiness and student success here at Sewanee as a career readiness and student success coach. I started working here in September, and before I worked here, I worked in the athletic departments at the University of Miami and at Mississippi State University, working directly with student athletes in student athlete development, which was helping prepare student athletes for life after sports. So I've worked a lot with student athletes. I love working with y'all and cheering you on in the classroom and going out and watching y'all's games. You guys all have the honor of representing Sewanee on your respective playing fields and in the classroom. And with that comes some additional responsibilities and maybe some challenges, but we are here to help you with that. Being a student athlete, as you all have already figured out, means you're balancing a lot. You have your academics, classes, tutoring, homework, studying. Then you also have your practices, games, lifting, recovery, and then also just living life and being a student. And that transition into college can sometimes feel like a lot and a little bit overwhelming, but that is where our office will come into play. We are here to help make this transition easier for you and to help you navigate all of those challenges that you might encounter. We're here to walk with you on the journey from when you first enter the gates to when you exit the gates. From the moment you get here freshman year to when you graduate and leave senior year, you have a team of coaches in career readiness and student success who are here to help you, right? Our office serves as a navigation hub for figuring out things when you're not quite sure where to go, who to talk to, or how to get started. This is all so new for you, and we're here to help make that simple for you. One of the most amazing things about this campus is you have so many resources and people here, like the registrar's office, student accessibility services, counseling and psychological services, who are here to help you. And sometimes you might not know where to go or who to see, or if you have something that comes up, you might not know, okay, what office do I need to go and talk to? If you come to our office, we could help point you in the correct direction and let you know where you need to go, who you need to talk to, and we could help you figure out that problem or see who you need to talk to. Again, time management is so important for all athletes on all teams. You are balancing a lot. So if you need help planning out your days, like, okay, I have Spanish at this time, I have a psych class at this time, and then your practices, lifts, treatment, tutoring, we could sit down and create a schedule on your phone or on your Google Calendar to help you see where you need to be, what you need to be doing, and okay, I have some free time here. How should I be utilizing this time? Do I need to be studying, or do I just need to take a moment and relax and take a breath? Your schedule might look one way when you're in season, your hours might be different, you're traveling, and it might look completely different in the off season, right? You're not competing, you're not traveling, you still have your sport requirements that you need to do, but your schedule looks a little bit different. And we could talk through how to manage that and how to make the days work for you and what works best for you. I put everything on a calendar and it helps me know where I need to be, what I need to be doing. So I think that's helpful for all student athletes. And I've done that with student athletes just to help. I know a lot of student athletes like having structure and like having okay, I need to be here at this time. So creating a schedule in your calendar, I found, has been really helpful for student athletes that I have met with and worked with. And the frequency that we meet with is completely up to you. I've seen a wide range of student athletes, and how often we meet is up to the student athlete. I last semester after midterms, I worked with a student athlete who was not doing well academically. So we met every single week. I think it was every Wednesday we met to just check in, see how he was doing throughout the week, made sure he attended tutoring, made sure he was getting his assignments in on time. We met throughout the semester, and then he ended up finishing the semester really strong, but we kept to that once a week schedule. I've also met with student athletes who are doing well academically, and we would just check in every other week, every 2 weeks to see how classes are going. I love talking to y'all about your sports and how y'all are doing. So just catching up on the sport and anything else that they wanted to talk about. We're here to support you in the ways that work best for you. We want to work with you and we want you guys to succeed and help you make your experience here the best that it can be. When you do go to make an appointment, that will be done through your student success portal. Our offices are located in Carnegie 115, which is on the main floor of Carnegie. Carnegie is a building that is off the quad right near the chapel. You could also stop by the office in person, say hi, and make an appointment that way. Again, whatever works best for y'all, we will make it work. We are also here when it comes time to help declare a major. If you want to talk through this, I've taken these classes and this is what I'm really interested in, we could talk about what that looks like for a major. And then when it comes time to apply for internships and jobs, I know sometimes that could be a scary and daunting process. We could also help you with that, again, with resumes and cover letters. And I think what's so special about being a student athlete is employers love hiring student athletes. You guys have so many skills that set you apart that you might not even realize that these employers are looking for. So those are definitely things that we need to make sure are highlighted on your resume. I've met with so many student athletes who don't include their sport on their resume. So that is the first thing that we do to make sure it's included on there. And it's never too early to start working on that resume. Again, we're so happy that you're here, and I'm looking forward to getting to meet you and see you grow in the classroom and on your respective playing fields. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Sarah, for that overview. And as I've said with Brooke, Sarah will stay on. Oops, let me start my video. Sarah will stay on until the end of this session and this panel. So if you've come up with any questions, please put them in the Q&A or the chat, and she will address them at the end. So before our student panel, we have Carrie Austin, who is going to talk about more of the athletic side of it. So Carrie, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carrie Austin. I'm the Associate Director of Athletics here at Sewanee. On behalf of our entire Sewanee Athletics family, I'm excited to welcome you to our team. Our goal for you as student athletes over the next 4 years is for you to have a fulfilling, educational, and transformational experience. Our Sewanee Tigers, we often talk about the pursuit of excellence in all we do. So what's that mean? It means that what you do in one part of your life carries over to what you do in the rest of your life. When you're working hard in the classroom, it's natural that that work ethic carries over into your practices and your competition and vice versa. The pursuit of excellence means that you're daring to take chances and putting in the work to reach your highest potential. This past year, we had a great deal of success within our athletic department. Our teams are competing for conference championships, for NCAA championships, and on the national stage. We also had a great deal of success academically. In both the fall and the spring semesters, all 26 of our varsity teams earned above a 3.0 GPA, which is huge. That might not sound like a big deal, but trust me, in a college athletic department, is very difficult to do. And we're really, really proud of our student athletes for that. As student athletes, you're fortunate to have an incredible support system from day one. You have your coaches, you have your teammates, and the fantastic group of leaders that are on this meeting right now with you to support you and your academic success. I'm going to give you just a really quick rundown of what the year looks like for you in terms of expectations academically. At the start of each semester, all of our in-season student athletes introduce themselves to their professors. You're going to give them a letter. You're going to give them a copy of your game schedule. You're going to talk about what it looks like for the semester and what classes you might be missing. From there, you can go ahead and discuss that professor's policy on missed class time, how they like for you to make up work. Should you turn it in early? Maybe you're going to take a test on the road. You're going to have to complete a makeup assignment, etc. Every professor has different expectations with that. Our Sewanee policy is that is considered an excused absence for a student athlete to miss the equivalent of up to 1 week of a class for athletic competition. So if a class meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can miss up to 3 times for that semester. If it's a once a week lab, you can only miss it 1 time. And if you ever have any issues with that, Dr. Evan Jocelyn is the person to go to. She really supports our athletes and helps them when maybe a professor isn't applying those rules fairly, or sometimes our student athletes aren't quite understanding the rules, she helps to bridge that gap between us. An important note is it's an NCAA policy that you can never miss class for an on-campus practice. Okay, so if you're leaving for a game that afternoon, you can't miss class to run and do a quick practice before you go. You can't miss class for anything athletically related outside of your regular playing season. So that would mean scrimmages in the non-traditional playing season are not an excused absence. So you must go to class. This class time is a challenge, but it provides you with valuable experience in learning to plan ahead and communicate. We just talked about reasons why employers want to hire former student athletes, and right there, it's a skill that you're learning to communicate early. It requires discipline and commitment, but all of you on this call have that, and that's why you're here with us. If you ever have any questions about these policies, don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Dr. Jocelyn. We're here to support you. Can't wait to see all of your faces in August, and please feel free to reach out. I'm going to leave my email in the chat. If you have any questions at all outside of this call, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Thank you, Carrie, for all this. So that was a lot of information. And as all of this is said, you could reach out to any of us if you continue to have education questions. But now for maybe the most exciting and informative section, and that is with our student athletes. So we have 4 student athletes here who compete in 4 different sports and are in 4 different majors and 4 different parts of their academic career. So we're going to first let them introduce themselves to you. And when they introduce themselves, they're going to answer some questions. They're first going to introduce themselves and tell their sport, hometown, major, and why they chose Sewanee. And then they're going to tell how do they balance their time between classes and athletics and other involvement. What's the most useful resource on campus? What did you wish you have known coming into Sewanee? And what is the biggest difference between high school experience and being in college? And don't worry, panelists, I'll post those in the chat. So if you forget them, you can answer them. So I will turn it over to the student athletes to take that over.
Well, I guess I'll get us going. Hello, everybody. My name is Clay Upchurch. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. I'm a finance and Spanish double major. And I guess what brought me to Sewanee is like most of you, I was recruited. But I think what really stuck with me when I came to Sewanee was actually on my visit, where I was visiting, looking at other schools, but I came to Sewanee. I was like, wow, I really could see myself here as just a student. And I've really come to believe that and have seen that through my time at Sewanee. So welcome, everybody.
I'm Stella. I am on the women's soccer team. I'm from New Orleans. I'm a rising junior, and I'm a chemistry major and a biology minor. And I chose Sewanee because, I wanted to play college soccer, And then when I came on my visit, I knew that I loved the coaching environment and the team environment. So that had already sold me. But then, I mean, stepping onto Sewanee, it's hard not to love it. And I loved the small classrooms. I didn't want to go to a big school. That seemed really overwhelming to me. So Sewanee was really just checking all the boxes. Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm Maggie Barker. I'm a rising senior. I am from Humboldt, Tennessee, and I'm on the softball team. My major is psychology, and I'm a double minor in neuroscience and art. And I chose Sewanee for many different reasons, but Sewanee is the only school I applied to. And it has its reasons. Sewanee's a special place, and the main reason I chose it was the community aspect. Sewanee is a welcoming place no matter who you talk to, students, faculty, staff. So yeah, community aspect.
Hi, my name is Alpha Ba. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, rising senior, and I play soccer here at Sewanee. I chose Sewanee just due to the fact that the coaches were really what sold me. They're very good people. It seemed like they really wanted me. And then academically, I know it's a great institution. So I think I've made the right choice.
Okay, so those are our four panelists. So let's start with the question. How do you balance your time with classes and athletics and other things you're involved with on campus? And maybe let them know what some of the other things you are involved with. We'll start with Stella this time. We'll do a circle. Clay started last time. We'll go that way.
Okay. Well, a big thing for me with balancing is a planner, like a paper planner. Some people love Google Calendar, not me. Paper planner. It helps me, like, I write it on my games, all my practice times, because like if you tell me something, I will forget it the next second. So having everything written down has been like the most important thing for me. I'm involved, I'm the vice president of chemistry club, and I'm in PKE, which is a sorority on campus. Those are my big involvements other than soccer. So balancing all of those meetings, chapter meetings, all of that is like really important to just have it written down. So when I look at my planner for the day, I can be like, okay, well, I'll have to do homework at this point of the day, or I'll have to study for this exam at this point in the day. And like I can take a nap or take a break at this point in the day. So just having everything laid out has been really helpful for me with balancing everything.
Yeah, for me, I'm a Google Calendar girl, so I'm the opposite of Stella. Um, Everything is color coordinated for me. Every subject has a different color, sports a different color, personal, everything like that. But that became my best friend when I came to Sewanee. I like it because it'll send me a notification to my phone because as an athlete, you got a lot going on in your brain. And sometimes you'll forget about that 30-minute meeting that's coming up and in like 5 minutes. And Google Calendar it just sends me the notification so I can run across campus to the meeting if I forgot about it. Um, I'm involved in a lot on campus. I am the president of Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I'm a tour guide. I'm a manager of my psychology lab. And yeah, I'm on the softball team too. And there's a little bit more, but yeah, Google Calendar.
I think we lost Alpha, so we'll move to Clay.
Okay. I'm also a Google, excuse me, a Google Calendar person. So I don't know what Stella's doing. No, I'm just kidding. Um, my involvements, I'm been a part of a couple different things, and in my opinion, it's good to go in and out of different areas. The main stuff I'm involved in is I'm the, excuse me, president of Kappa Alpha Order. I was a member of the Carey Fellows, and I also was a part of Greensview Capital Investment Club. And, as they've all mentioned, your time is limited. And so being able to block out time for yourself being able to take those breaths when you're thinking about the next assignment, the next practice is very important. And so time management is key. You're on your own out there. So, but there's plenty of people to help you, and Google Calendar is your friend.
For me, um, I'm involved in Greensview Capital, just like Clay. And I don't know, I hang around campus, I hang around people in Greek life. And yeah, I don't really do anything crazy outside of school. I go to class, I study, and I do a lot of like studying for internship and stuff like that. So I don't know, you stay busy with soccer. I think soccer's been, very, very big on the field, but also off the field. That's where like my best friends are. So you just hang out with most of them and you join clubs together like Greensview Capital and do things together. So yeah, I'm not a very, I don't do much outside of soccer, but you're busy, so you don't need to.
Thank you guys very much. Okay, so let's move on to the question. What has been the most useful resource to you on campus? So we'll start with Maggie this time.
Yeah. So sorry, Dean Britt, I forgot to mention that I'm an orientation director as well. So that just being involved has been the biggest resource for me. And especially having these leadership roles, you get to deal with a lot of different important people and important, what's the word I'm looking for, offices on campus. And so you'll get to know the ins and outs of these different things and the ins and outs of Sewanee that other people may not know. But the big ones that you would know of now is really the student success coaching. I really enjoyed that. I'm gonna be a rising senior, so I'm building my resume right now. So I will definitely be visiting them in August. But yes, definitely use them when you get here.
Alfred, do you want to go next? Or Stella, you go.
Okay. I would say probably my professors. I am constantly in Dr. Joslin's office. Every time that I have a school issue, exam conflict, personal crisis, general question about anything, my professors have always lent their ear and have always helped me solve whatever problem that I'm facing. I mean, especially with Dr. Jocelyn, she is an advocate for all of us athletes. So, I mean, my professors, you just have to be willing to ask for help and willing to go to them. And a majority, if not all, professors at Sewanee will help you out with whatever you're having trouble with.
Wait, should I go? You got it, Clay.
Okay. For me, one of the biggest resources outside of school has been my coaches. My coaches are always there, you're seeing them multiple times a week. They're there for you. They don't just want you to become a better athlete, they want you to grow as an individual. On the school side, everyone is given an advisor. And for me, I was blessed with a great advisor who is always, his door's always open. I was able to talk to him about whatever it mattered, whatever, school related issues, personal issues. And so they've been great. Everyone at Sewanee is always open to helping professors, and it's been an amazing time.
For me, I want to piggyback off what some of these people have said and talk about my professors and also some key ones with my advisor being one of them, my French professor being another one, and then one of the people from the Career Readiness Center, Miss Kim Heisenrader. All these people have been very helpful outside of school, outside of soccer. They check in on you. Some of my professors, my family's from West Africa, so I enjoy West African food, and some of my professors have invited me to their house to make me some, which has been very cool experience. And then for someone like Miss Kim Heisenrader, who's a career readiness lady, I'm currently, as you guys can tell, I'm like turning my camera on and off. I'm currently like juggling through my internship, and she was a big help in me finding that. And big resource in finding, stuff outside of school and getting ready for life outside of Sewanee. So those people are very helpful, and you can always reach out to them and have a conversation with them. So my professors and just they've been very helpful.
Perfect. So as you guys can tell, there's lots of resources on campus that you can reach out to. So don't hesitate to do that. So now the question that might resonate the most with our attendees and our future Tigers is, what do you wish you had known before coming to Sewanee? We'll start with Clay this time.
It's a difficult question. There's a lot of things that I wish I knew, just because you're going into a new environment. But I guess the reality is, for some reason, I feel like high school teachers are like, oh, no one's gonna help you. Class isn't gonna be fun. School's not gonna be fun in college. I have not found that. I've enjoyed all my classes. They've all been very engaging. The Depending on what you take, the lecture style with Sewanee, it's all close, small classes. And so don't be nervous about going to your first day of class. It's going to be great. Everyone in there is just as nervous as you. So participate and you'll get even more out of your college experience than you thought you were.
For me, I'll say, so I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and things are very different in New York compared to the South. And I'd never been to the South before I came to Sewanee. So I was very nervous of like how the people would be. And my advice, or like something I wish I knew, is just how nice everyone is. Everyone's very welcoming. As soon as you get on campus, everyone's very nice. Sometimes it's too nice, but I enjoy it. They make you feel comfortable. They make you feel like you've been there for a long time. So don't be nervous. Like, you'll see us around campus. Come say hi to us. I don't think any of us are mean at all. So just know that, like, you're coming into a place where you can just say hi to anybody and anybody will say hi back to you. So I feel like that's a good thing to have, especially when you come to college.
Yeah, Clay and Alpha pretty much said it all. Sewanee is a place of like the nicest people that I've ever met. It's pretty crazy. It's like not hard to make friends at all if you're scared about that. I came into Sewanee not knowing anybody, so that was like a scary part for me. But also being on a team is like every team is so close. Like in season, you pretty much always eat like dinner and lunch together. And like I never had like a scary moment at Clerg where I had no one to sit with because one of my teammates, the upperclassmen, like were always calling us over. So don't be afraid. You pretty much have automatic friends with your teammates. And then, Sewanee's just a really great place. I don't know.
Yeah, y'all pretty much touched on everything. Um, this is, well, okay. Don't bring your whole closet. I made that mistake. You do not need every pair of shorts and every t-shirt that you own. So I made that mistake. So that's just a funny one. Don't bring your whole closet. Um, but I relate a lot to Clay's answer. I had teachers in high school who were always like, your professor's not going to take the time to do this and talk to you. And if you have an issue, they don't care. That's not true at all. My advisor, he's in the psych department, and I have coffee with him once a week to talk about just life. I call him my therapist. But yeah, it's just such a great place. There's really no words to describe it.
Perfect. Okay, so now thinking back, for those seniors here, it might be a little hard. What was the biggest difference between your high school experience and your college experience? And that can be athletics if you can relate to that, but if there's something else that really resonates with you, feel free to share that. And then we'll open up the floor to questions. So any attendees who have questions, please put them in the chat for the question and answer.
I'll go first quickly. I think the biggest difference is just the freedom. We all, when you get to college, when you're in high school and stuff, you're around your parents, you're around the teachers, they're all watching you. certain moves you can't do. When you get to college, you get a lot of freedom. You're treated as an adult. You get the free time to do whatever, the free will to do whatever you want to do, and it's up to you to use it wisely. I know it sounds like a warning, but it's like you have so much free time. You can use it to be productive, or it could honestly destroy your experience. So understanding that you have a lot of free time and that you should allocate it to the right things is very important.
Yeah, I would agree with Alpha. The biggest difference was like, I mean, in high school, my schedule at least was like I would go to class for 8 hours and then you'd have like 45 minutes before a 2 hour practice, and I would get home at like 9 and I would have 2 hours, 3 hours to do my homework before I had to do it all again the next day. But it's not like that in college. You have maybe 2, 3 classes. I usually try to do 2 classes every day. And like granted, I am in a lot of labs, so that's a just a part of being a chemistry major. But in general, you're only in class for about maybe 3 hours a day, and then you have practice for 2, 3 hours at that night. So you need to be able to allocate your time where you're like, this is where I'm going to be productive, and this is where I'm going to give myself a break and let myself relax. And it is really important to take care of yourself and make sure that that work doesn't pile up, especially in season. But if you need a break, if you need to take a nap, you don't always need to be working. So it's really just finding that balance like we've been talking about. But yeah, that was the biggest difference for me.
Yeah, I will give you one academic and one athletic one. The academic one for me was I never really had to study in high school. And then when I got to college, it all hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was like, I have to study. So definitely start picking up some study habits and learn what works best for you, because not everything works best for everybody. Um, and then the athletic one, um, you don't have your mom or your dad to be like, hey, Maggie, get up and go to practice. You got to do that yourself. But your teammates will hold you accountable to that. I know on the softball team, if somebody's not showing up and they're like a minute late, all of us are calling them and texting them, like, where are you at? Stuff like that. So definitely you'll gain some self like accountability in that part.
So, unlike high school, there's a certain things you can do. And at university, there's so many things that you can do, and a lot of them are going to be there, for you to try. And I push you and urge you to try all sorts of things. Remember, you came here to play sports and do school. So make sure before you go and have fun and do the other things that you're prioritizing your schoolwork and your athletics, because no one's there to hold your hand. And if you start letting the extra S get in the way of the sports and school, then not only are your parents going to be mad, but boy, are you going to be running.
Okay, so a question that I think was submitted. So their first semester, they will get a schedule be provided to them, but in the future, they have to pick their own schedules. So do you try to take harder classes out of season and easier classes during season, or do you find that having the structure of your season, helps you with your schoolwork? What have you guys found in your career?
Yeah. For me, I'm a spring athlete. So in the fall, I try to take more of my harder classes, so labs, that kind of thing. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, and that's okay. I don't know how other sports do it, but for softball, our coaches are very what's what I'm looking for? Very acceptable of that, receptive of that. And so we rarely in the spring practice all at the same time, except on the weekends, because all of us have such different class schedules that some of us have labs, we can't be there. So you just show up late to practice or schedule another time with your coach when you can practice, and that's completely fine. You won't be penalized for that or anything. You won't not get playing time. So don't definitely don't worry about that.
Yeah, so I'd say going into freshman year, I definitely had that mentality where I should schedule harder classes in the spring when soccer's not going on. But going into my junior year, I'll be taking 3 labs in season and working in Dr. Jocelyn's research lab next semester, all in season. And I've found great ways to balance my time and know when I can take a break and when I need to be doing work. So it really is all just up to you. If you struggle a little more finding balance and you need a little more time and you need a little bit more breaks, then yeah, I absolutely recommend maybe taking your labs or whatever in out of season. But if you feel like you can take it on, there's no problem with that. All coaches, or at least from what I heard from Maggie, and it's the same way with soccer, they ask for our class schedule first and then they schedule practice. And if that lab runs late, if you are running out of class to get to practice, they do not hold that against you in the slightest. You are never penalized for doing that. Our coaches have told us, they tell us from the first day of preseason to the last day of the season that we are students first and that is very important, and they never want practice to be a stressful thing getting out of class and having to go. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. It really just depends on how much you can handle in season. But also keep in mind that it really might not work out that way. Some classes are only offered in the fall or only offered in the spring. So sometimes you might have to make that sacrifice if a class you need for your major, for example, is only offered during your season, but it's also a very hard class. So it really all just depends, but don't stress about it too much.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off what Stella said, I agree with the fact that you won't always get the option that you want or get to perfectly choose your class schedule. But my advice would just be to set yourself up early on, freshman year, sophomore year, get things right, because it'll be much easier junior year and senior year when that time comes around. So take the right classes and focus in and do well early on, because that'll just help you piggyback and you won't have to get on catch up.
Yeah, I think everybody covered everything. Key points is not everything that you want to take or when you meet with your advisor might be offered that semester. So just look at that, kind of create a plan so you're not in your last couple years trying to squeeze in 4 or 5 classes. My last thing is that, as college athletes, the line between in season and off season starts is a lot less than what it is in high school. So in the off season, it still means that, at least for lacrosse, we're still doing stuff, 3, 4 times a week. So it's still rigorous. And for spring athletes, it's great to start and you dip your toes in the water. But yeah, the line, so you will have to practice those timing and scheduling, throughout your whole career.
Perfect. So we have about 7 more minutes until the end. One more question, which doesn't necessarily have a concrete answer, but when you miss class for a game, you guys have kind of touched on it, but what do you guys prefer to do? Do you guys try to get things turned in? Is that just your policy? What have you encountered with your professors? Traveling and doing classwork? What are your experiences with that?
I'll answer this quickly, and then I unfortunately have to leave. But when you miss classes, first off, when you get, at least for the soccer team, when you get in there preseason, we all have a list of the away dates. So we get that, and we get our professors to sign it, so they know that these are the dates we're going to miss class. And they're very flexible. Like I said, all these teachers are very nice. They all are personable. They care about you, so they're very flexible with what you miss, and will allow you to, if you miss a quiz or an exam, they'll allow you to retake it. But also, if there's a homework assignment due that day, you should be able to get it done before you leave campus. But if you just communicate with them early and let them know that, you're going to be away, then they'll accommodate you accordingly. Thank you guys. Hope to see you in the fall. See you guys later.
Thank you, Alpha. So any other answers to that? Also about like how is it traveling? That you guys travel much further than you ever traveled in high school, most likely. Any advice for that?
Yeah. So definitely talk to your professors like Alpha said. I prefer honestly to get look at my assignments ahead of time because they will be posted on Brightspace more than likely with due dates. And when I know I'm gonna have a paper or an exam right before I'm supposed to leave or when I'm leaving, I will ask to take it or turn it in early. And most all every time they're like, yes, please do. So that way we can grade yours at the same time as everybody else's. Um, Traveling, yes, you do travel a lot, especially if you have a lot of away games in your schedule. Definitely study on the bus. Those bus rides are where I spend most of my time studying, writing paper. I had to do a whole art project my sophomore year on the bus. I had two of my teammates hold it, and I was doing stuff. So, it's definitely doable. Definitely don't limit yourself, and bring your chargers. That's important.
Yeah, I mean, they all covered it. Communication is key. Different professors have different expectations, so be sure to look at their syllabus. And it also obviously depends on the type of assignment. For traveling, I'm not like Maggie. I am horrible at doing work on the bus. So if that is you, do it early because at least for me, when I'm sitting on a bus with 45 other lacrosse players, it's good night. Yeah, no chance. So, but do what works best for you and pack a pillow and a blanket because driving the Hendrix is not fun.
Yeah, I agree with everything everyone else said. I'm not a big homework on the bus person. I'm gonna have to be this next year, but um, I always get my assignments done early, especially exams. I don't really want to take it after a weekend away. That seems really stressful. But I mean, if you think that that would work best for you, then that's really what it is. It's whatever works best for y'all. You'll figure it out after your first weekend away, and you always have the upperclassmen to talk to. No one on your team is gonna like not give you advice because they went through the same thing. But yeah, I always recommend planning ahead, getting it done early because you will know your dates from the second you step foot on campus. So just be productive with your time. And I mean, everyone on the women's soccer bus is always doing homework. So, I mean, if you look over at Kai's computer, she's a senior on the soccer team. She's a double physics and math major. So she's always doing homework. So you'll have company if you want to do homework on the bus. Just plan ahead. If you know what you need to do on the bus, then that's awesome. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you to our panelists. Hopefully this helped our future Sewanee Tiger athletes. So I'm going to turn it over to Emily to go over some final things before we all sign off.
Thanks, Evan, and thanks to our student athletes. I was like sitting here nodding my head, like, yes, great advice. This is amazing. So thank y'all for doing that. I just have a couple of reminders about upcoming summer orientation things. And so we are doing a couple more live sessions specifically about academics because we know you have lots of questions about them. So the next one coming up is actually on the 16th. We will be hosting an info session for both you and your parents and family members about the course program of study, or CPOS, which is related to federal and state financial aid, and those of you who will have transfer credits, which is probably a lot of you if you think about if you take in dual enrollment or AP or IB classes. So definitely check that out. We sent information via email from orientation, so make sure that you do that. And we also, Brooke is rejoining us and I was going to ask her to do this. We have another one coming up about Learn at Sewanee, again, for all students. We'll cover some similar stuff, but more broad. And Brooke will talk a little bit about advising, but I was going to ask her to answer a quick question about advising and AP scores. So Brooke, do you mind doing that?
Sure. If you've taken AP or dual enrollment for that matter, go ahead and send your scores to Sewanee. If you took a AP exam in your second semester and haven't received your scores. Typically, those come out in July. Early July is typically when we get those. And so what we ask on actually, I think it was in the academic inventory form that we ask you, have you taken AP? And then the answer was yes, and I've scored either a 4 or 5, or it's in progress, you don't know. So if that's the case, that is fine. As long as you put that in there, we're going to kind of go on the assumption that you're getting credit for it. If you don't get credit for it, let's say you scored a 2 on it and it won't transfer to Sewanee, that's okay. But we're just not going to risk you being enrolled in a course where you potentially have already received credit for it. So just keep that in mind. So it's helpful if we just know. And then once the scores come in, even if you didn't complete that on the academic inventory, just forgot, whatever the reason is, no problem. When those scores come in July, we're going to cross-reference those. If we've already made your schedule by then we will cross-reference it. And if you've, let's say, put down an English course or took an English AP and you should get credit for it, but you're enrolled in an English course at Sewanee, we're gonna change your schedule. So all of that will happen. Regarding the CPAS, if you're on any type of financial aid, again, we're going to go over it. It's in a big detail. Financial aid gets very complicated. But essentially, in a nutshell, the government would like you to graduate in as soon as possible so that students don't have increasingly large debt. And so it's not a bad policy. Certainly, we don't want anybody to be in debt. But at the same time, we know Sewanee is really a 4-year kind of liberal arts experience, especially if you're an athlete, right? And so we're trying to balance those two things out. And so if students are bringing in a lot of dual enrollment or AP, we are not going to automatically put those into the system right away because we want to see how that plays out with your overall game plan. So again, it gets a little complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated, but when you've never heard of it before, it's kind of like, what? I'm not getting credit? No, you'll get credit for all of those scores that are warranted for sure. It's just a matter of the timing that we're going to give you those credit or not give you credit if that works out better for your system. So you'll work with your advisor or the registrar's office, Dean Bruce, myself, and then we have one other faculty member who helps with that, with the advisement on it. Not something you have to worry about right now at all. All we're going to focus on for this first semester right now is not enrolling you as much as we can in a course that you may already have credit for. So whether that's dual enrollment or AP, that's kind of our focus right now. And I would encourage you, if you did, so AP scores will automatically get sent to Sewanee if you put those down originally on that form. But dual enrollment, you will have to request those from the school, the college or university that is granting the credit. So your high school counselor will not send those in for you. They cannot send those in for you. You have to request those. And if you get those sent to Sewanee's registrar's office, they'll go ahead and update those in the system. So again, you're not getting enrolled in a course that you may already have credit for.
Okay. Thank you. You certainly can explain all the CPAS stuff better than me.
It's complicated for sure.
Outside to try to make sure people get the information that they need. Mm-hmm. So again, that information session about CPAS is on June 16th. And then on June 18th, we will have the Learn at Sewanee for all incoming students. And then one that people are probably really looking forward to is Live at Sewanee, which is all about living on campus, housing, dining, wellness, all of those things. And that one's in July on the 16th. So make sure you register for those and join us there. We'll stick around for just a minute in case folks have questions, but we really appreciate you joining us and we cannot wait to see you in the fall.